Makoto, a fun and beloved character from Street Fighter history. Also simultaneously a kinda underrated Street Fighter character too. Street Fighter diehards are aware of how cool Makoto is, but I'm not sure if anybody else is really attuned to just how cool of a character she actually was in those old games. I say old games like it was that long ago the Street Fighter 4 came out. Well, kinda is now. Anyways, today she's getting a redesign, so let's see what we got. Okay, so I got requested to do a redesign for Makoto from Street Fighter 3 and Super Street Fighter 4, I guess. Makoto jumped out to me as an interesting character to do a redesign for, just because she has a very simplistic look, which matches her character at the time, especially considering she's like a sort of teenage martial artist. But I'm not gonna lie, it's just a young tomboyish looking girl in a martial arts gi. Like, I kind of want to change that up and make her look, I don't know, a little more mature than that. I feel like her character design reads child almost when you look at it. And what I want to do is sort of take that and have a more like adult-like look or feel to her design. Even if it's no more than just a young adult, just something to sort of advance her appearance a little bit. Especially considering the gap in time between Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 3, and she looks no different between those two games. I definitely want to change that look up. So that's my outlook going into this design, so let's see how this goes.
Maybe I can make a name for myself.
Alright, so I had a pretty basic pose to start off with. I didn't want anything too crazy in terms of like her actual pose was gonna look when I first decided to design her. Like, the thing that I was most concentrated on with this design was, in all honesty, her look. Like, the actual vibe of Makoto, I'm pretty sure anybody who's played the game or just looked at her can pick up on that by itself. Like I said, I just wanted a more slightly young adult design to her. Not going too crazy though. I don't need a design that's almost along the lines of some of the Mortal Kombat females I've drawn. You know, practically wearing nothing. But here was a much different approach, and one that I actually like. It's not often that I have to do like a traditional martial artist design, or I can't say traditional here, but you know what I mean. Just like a regular, normal martial arts character for a female design, and nothing like too crazy where it's just a woman that's supposed to be a spy, or a woman that's a ninja or a goddess, or anything that crazy. Like, just a female martial artist. Pretty cool to work on. But I also understood in my mind too that I didn't want to deviate too far from Makoto's original look too. And what I mean by that is, I still want her to look like a martial artist, and I want there to be a tinge of the classic Makoto look in her design, but I also wanted to change that up quite a bit to just, I don't know, make it look cooler and more updated. Like I've said before, Street Fighter 6 has a lot of intricate looking character designs, and there's a lot more detail and a lot more flash in the designs in Street Fighter 6 than ever before, so I wanted that to sort of come across in how I approach designing Makoto too. So I actually gave her one long sleeve in her clothing, and I also changed up the martial arts pants just a little bit. I kept it the same sort of color, but I just added designs to it to sort of make it stand out a little more. And I also had it a little bungled up around her ankles, almost to where it kind of looked like sweats almost. And I made it a point to give her a black belt. In my mind, she would be a seasoned martial artist at this point. Considering how hard and how much she trained as like a teenager and young child, I figured by now she should be a black belt and a lot more seasoned than she was in previous Street Fighter games. So I added details into the black belt design as well. I didn't leave her hairstyle exactly the same. I left it similar, but I wanted it a tad bit more like unkempt and ragged, just because I figured it should look just a lot more scraggly just from all the training and stuff. I would think that vanity isn't Makoto's like focus with her martial arts training, but at the same time it wouldn't make sense for her hairstyle to be exactly the same from when she was a child, so just a slight change in how her hairstyle actually looked. Other than that, doing the base for her design was rather simple. After that, it was a matter of going back over it with her line art. I knew going in that most of the detail in this design would be done when I would color it, because a lot of the added details I was going to put in would be done while actually painting the design. So I pretty much knew going in I wouldn't get a feel for it until after I colored it and at least shaded it to start off with. So, as I've said before, I started doing the line art over top of the sketch design that I did in the beginning, and then it was on to coloring and getting the details into this design. Now, before I continue, I just wanted to go ahead and let everybody know, if you like the channel or want to see more of my redesigns or any of my fighting game content, or any other like anime or story type content that I have on my channel, go ahead and like and subscribe if you haven't. We greatly appreciate it. Now, getting back to the coloring of Makoto. So early on, I started with her skin color and the yellow wrap around her neck, because those were sort of the main things that stayed true to the original design. I wanted to knock that out early and then go from there. So I even kept the pants the same color just to make sure I had that in my mind going forward. Then from there was when I started getting creative. So initially, I wanted to make the design because of the yellow. I wanted to add a teal to her look. Over time, I did not like how the teal was coming across, and I definitely changed that. And I changed it to red. I figured, red for her would fit her like fiery personality more. At first, I was thinking in my mind like, no, because that's gonna read too much like there's enough characters in Street Fighter to have some combination of like black and red or something like that. But at the same time, I feel like for Makoto, it works. I didn't have that much of a problem with it here. I also designed her upper body and her shirt in the beginning, but as I was doing it, I immediately said, okay, this is way too much, especially for a Street Fighter design, so I left that alone. But other than that, like I said, it was adding on the details to her black belt itself and her gloves. And then I gave her sort of like a fire print on her pants, which was something else I wanted to do. I don't know why I wanted to put like a flame design somewhere on here, but it's rough because doing flame designs on pants for a fighting game immediately is going to read like Gen Kazama. I didn't want to do that, so I had to make that sort of different as well. And I changed that to red, and then it was on to the actual shading. Once I started shading, the design sort of started to come together a lot more. I was able to actually see like my vision piecing itself together and get a feel for what this Makoto actually looks like. The main thing I wanted to get across with how I shaded her design was pretty much like her muscular structure. Like I wanted her to look pretty ripped in this design. Like I said, I didn't want her to look adolescent as much as I wanted her to look like kind of badass, to be quite honest. Like the thing I just kept telling myself was a mature Makoto. So shading in her muscles and stuff like that really helped make this design pop for me. And then after shading it was on to my highlights. Now I have to disclose for the highlights there's not much to show here because for whatever reason the portion of the design that I recorded where I was doing the highlights, it was corrupted for no reason. I still don't know how and why that happened, but a lot of the highlights that I did in this video are sort of gone for whatever reason, so I only have the specular highlights that I did towards the end. So I pretty much had a finished product by that point, but here it is. A brand new Street Fighter 6 design for Makoto. It's a design that I could actually see being played with in Street Fighter 6. Like in my mind, I could already see this in game, more so than the classic Makoto design sort of fitting in the Street Fighter 6. Personally, I like the look, but I also know that I like pretty exaggerated designs for Street Fighter characters, and I know that's not necessarily everybody's cup of tea. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments below, how you feel about this Makoto design. But as I've said before, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and you all have a good one, and I'm out.
Get it on that. Select and make it first pick. Get it on that. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Get it on that. Choose and pick the best one. Get it on that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get it on that. Select and make it first pick. Get it on that. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Get it on that. Choose and pick the best one. Get it on that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get it on that.